So anyways, this is kind of crazy. I think it highlights some big problems that I've seen firsthand and I've heard secondhand and thirdhand, which is international student space, right? There's a lot of shady players in the space, right? There's a lot of legitimate players. There's a lot of shady players. I don't like how all the incentives are aligned right now in terms of commission. The majority of students are working with unregulated study abroad agents, right? So the other thing to keep in mind is, I'm not saying all study abroad agents are bad. There's some very good ones. But if you're working with an immigration consultant who's licensed, or you're working with an immigration lawyer who's licensed, they're at least licensed and being regulated by somebody, right? There's absolutely zero regulation right now in the international student space, which is how international study abroad agents like this can apparently get away with this for years on end without anybody finding out, right? Now, I do think that you do have to put, in my opinion, and I'm interested to hear opinions on this. Alex says, wow, when you break down the numbers, it really is amazing, the monetary incentives. Exactly, Alex. I mean, think about it. You're living, you might also be a study abroad agent living in another country where the cost of living is much lower than in Canada, right? So that's a lot of money, right? I mean, $1 million a year is a lot of money, especially if you're living in Canada. Imagine living in a country where the cost of living is half, right? So there's a lot of money at play here. And if you look at some of these statistics from 2022, now there's over 800,000 international students in Canada, right? Last year, there were over 550,000 of them that got approved for a study permit, right? So if we take 550,000 international students that were accepted last year, let's just say half of them used a study abroad agent, right? Probably more than half, but let's just be conservative and say 275,000. Let's say they generated an average of $1,500 in commission. You're talking about a $400+ billion industry, right? In Canada alone, in 1 year, with conservative numbers, right? So these numbers are actually pretty insane, right? And you can see why there's so much, activity going on. India has the most study permit holders with 226,000. So they're like, getting close to about half, right? From what I've read, about 45% are coming from India. British Columbia has the highest number, followed by Ontario, and then I think Quebec is number 3. So the numbers are just insane. But I think the two key takeaways, at least in my head, and happy to hear if anybody agrees or disagrees, are number one, there has to be more regulation, right? If you let too many people act in an industry like this, completely unregulated, with so much money at stake, this stuff is going to continue, right? And so I've been pointed to other articles where recent deaths and suicide rates are going up for international students because they get sold by these, agents abroad, because the agents, again, are incentivized to get as many students into Canada. So what do? They put on their sales hats and they promise the world. Oh, Canada's, obviously I love Canada, right? I live here. I wouldn't want to move anywhere else. But these rosy pictures are being painted that aren't necessarily accurate. Oh, Canada's beautiful. Oh, it's cheap to live there. Oh, it's easy to get a job there, right? Oh, it's easy to, buy real estate there, right? So they're basically saying anything they can possibly say to get students here. Students have unrealistic expectations. Pardon me. Some of them really struggle. Some of them might be convinced to take a course that they don't even like because it has a higher visa approval rate. So students come here. They might not even be doing a program that's great for them. Things are more expensive than they were led to believe. It's harder to find a job than they were led to believe. And suicide rates and depression and mental health issues have gone up drastically over the last few years as a result. I'm going to link to a few of these articles in the chat because I think it's very, very important. I'm going to link just a couple of them here. I mean, just Google it.